interview is going to be so much fun because there's one thing to have guests, but there's another thing to have guests that you actually know and you sincerely like. And that is none other than Chris Felton. Yes, you heard that right. Felton. He is my brother from another mother. We love each other dearly. We are entrepreneurial colleagues and are connected in so many ways. And he is certainly a guru in his industry. And Chris, welcome to the Power Transformation Podcast.
Well, great to have me, my sister from another mister.
That's right.
So there you have it.
Indeed.
Okay.
And we're
Yeah.
going to jump right into this because Chris definitely has a story and a journey that he's very open with because it is certain to inspire you. And he's here to also clear up certain misconceptions about finances and money and things of that nature that he had to even go through himself. But before we get into that, I always start with something lighthearted. And Chris, this is my question for you. Lots of things probably do, but what is one thing that brings you joy?
Um, just contribution to others and watching them grow and develop and
Mm,
just feeling, I mean, they do the work, but I mean, you understand this because you have the same kind of heart, but just,
mhm.
impact.
Yeah.
Impact is what brings me joy. Stuff and experiences are fine, but the older you get, the less impact that those experiences have on you. They're fun to have, but it's really about changing people's lives as best as we can, as many as we can before we depart.
hmm And I see that even on how you leave your social media posts, how you're very intentional of sharing a lesson or just getting people to view things with a different perspective. And something that I appreciate from you, the app name slips my mind, but there was a post you did a while back, and I downloaded an app that's pretty much a gratitude app that you keep track of things that you're thankful for throughout your day, and it changes your entire perspective on things. So I can see how what you do in terms of who you are, but also how you help others transform lives. And so that leads me to this question. You can take it any way that you want to, but who is Chris Felton?
Well, I'm a child of God, and I'm here to fulfill His will. I've had quite the spiritual journey over the last I turned 54 in August, but that's probably the biggest shift that I pray for every morning.
Mhm.
Is to know His will 1,000% of the time and take action without hesitation 1,000% of the time. So that's definitely a prayer. I communicate, but I'm a father of two. Caden and Carson, 24 and 21. If she's listening, she's upstairs. I'm a good husband to Marlo, and I'm a financial services entrepreneur, author, speaker. I'm just trying to do as much as I can while we're in this meat suit, for
Mhm.
hopefully as long as possible. But
Yeah.
my passion is, and my purpose is to help people free themselves mentally and financially so they can live the life of their dreams. That's what
Mm.
I that's my purpose on this planet.
I love that because so many people need it and it's liberating. And a person can walk into your life now and see you and say, wow, look at Chris, who speaks on all of these global stages, very well connected, best selling author, a high income, 7+ figure earner. He has it all together, and I'm certain that this came easy for him. But that would not always be the case. So I want to go back briefly. And before we get into your journey, if you could describe yourself in terms of a job title in the financial services industry, what would that be if a person were curious?
Yeah, I'm a financial services entrepreneur. I'm a partner and advisor. I teach people about money and financial literacy and those things.
Mhm,
So I just advise people. But I think one of the things that makes me a little different is I talk about the mindset around money because
mhm,
as my coach took me through my mindset journey around money is he was like, what's more important, the golf club or the golf swing?
mm,
And everybody's always looking for the golf club to change their lives. And there's been a lot of golf technology since I've been playing golf the last 40 years, but my
mhm,
golf game hasn't changed very much because the golf club's not going to fix it. It's the golf
mhm.
swing. And the golf swing, when it comes to money, is our belief systems around money. And unless you put the work in to change the swing, the golf club's not going to matter. So,
And when you said that, that's what came to my mind immediately was the golf swing is what's really important. I mean, the golf clubs, of course, has its place, but the golf swing is important. And so you have been in this industry for decades and you've thrived in so many areas. But let's go back some in terms of your upbringing and your overall mindset when it came to money. People can see you now, Chris, and say, well, obviously something stuck in him early when it came to money based on where he is now. But was that always the case? And just kind of tell us about how your upbringing was and if you were indeed born with a silver spoon in your mouth, or did you have a totally different upbringing from where you are now?
yeah, there's a great book out there written by an author named Margaret Lynch. It's called Tapping into Wealth. It's one of the best wealth books I've ever read, and it really is about changing your belief systems, right? And I kind of took it a little bit further. And I wrote a LinkedIn article about a year ago
Mm,
and the name of the article is "Why Is There So Many Smart, Talented, Broke People?"
mm,
And it goes back to her main quote that I actually put in my book, and she said the biggest determining factor of your financial success is the vows that you made to gain acceptance into your family at a very young age. The biggest determining factor of your financial success is the vows that you made to gain acceptance into your family at a very young age. OMG,
mhm,
right? And so what that means is to get their acceptance, we kind of have to buy their BS, right? And
mhm,
so, but from the time we're 0 to 4, we get 50% programmed, right? Programmed, right? This is what you work on, right? With people
mhm.
changing their programming.
Yes.
50% programming on people are good, people are bad, right? Money's good, money's bad. And you get this programming. By the time you're 10, you're 70% programmed. By the time you're 18, you're 95% hardwired programmed. And one of my mentors, Steve Siebold, wrote a book called How Rich People Think. He's got the longest running study of self-made millionaires and billionaires. He's interviewed over 1,300 in the last 35 years. And his aha was almost all of them grew up in a dysfunctional family around
Mhm,
money. Almost all of them. And so most of them got the money's the root of all evil. Money won't make you happy. It doesn't grow on trees. You can't take it with you. My dad told me rich people are crooks. They make money on the backs of poor people. My mom said, "Oh, money, you either have it or you don't." So just like those self-made millionaires and billionaires in Steve's book,
mhm,
I got the same crap. And so I bought the garbage. My mom passed away with $10,000 to her name. My dad made it all the way to 88. He was broke. He had $75,000 of debt. So I got their stories to get their
mhm,
acceptance unconsciously before the age of 4. I made that determination. But like everybody in Steve's book, at some point they go, "This is crap."
mhm.
And I'm sick of being a broke mofo.
Yup.
And then at
Yes.
some point they take control of the reins
Mhm,
and then they do the deep, deep, deep work to shift their internal story around money. And I'm 54 now. I chose to do that at 37 when my back was against the
Wow.
wall. I had no choice. So I lived a lie around money and finance for 37 years.
Wow. And so let's actually talk about this because I've never asked you this. So prior to 37, were you in the financial industry or did you have a totally different field?
No, sister, I was a CPA. This is nutty, right?
Uh-huh.
So I graduated college, never got below an A in an accounting course. Okay. And it's not that I'm like super smart. I do have discipline
Mm-hmm.
and I stick with stuff. I'm very persistent. So like
Mm-hmm.
I just had to study hard, but I never got below an A in an accounting course. I worked for the largest accounting firm in the world
Mm.
before I got into financial services. I took the CPA exam once. So it's not like I was an idiot, right? I was telling Fortune 500 companies how to manage their finance departments.
Wow.
But my personal financial department, well, the cobbler's kid has no shoes, right? Like it was a freaking disaster. So I knew what to do. I could talk golf clubs to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then I shifted to becoming an entrepreneur in financial services. I was in as a CPA for 7 years. Then I shifted to becoming an entrepreneur, part-time 1999. Then I went full-time in February 2000. So no, I was in it. I was in
Wow.
money. I was in all this stuff. But it wasn't until I turned 37 that I was like, why am I broke?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because after a while you get tired of it. Like why?
Oh,
Life can be different. And going back to the mindset thing, it begs the question to me is every generation has their own perception of money, but even now, I read just this morning, it was an article stating that Gen Zers are coming out of college and growing up with more debt than any other generation, and they had different kind of like mini interviews with these Gen Zers, but certain mindsets about money. My question is, what do you think is the hugest block to people breaking free from mindsets about money, particularly those who still have those embedded thoughts of the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. If you're here, you aren't ever going to get there. Just people who have a negative view about money. What is that hindrance?
well, it's programming, right? So
Hmm.
it's programming as a child, but then it's mass consciousness around money. It's the beliefs that get poured on us,
Hmm.
right, from the outside world, right? I mean, I'm 54, right? But thinking I'm dating myself. Gilligan's Island. Does anybody remember
Yeah.
Gilligan's Island, right?
Uh-huh.
So, Thurston Howell and his wife were
Hmm.
on the island, and what were they? They were aloof,
Yes.
right? They were portrayed as aloof. They were like, it was like a vacation for them. They weren't even stranded, just
Hmm.
clueless, right? The movie The Titanic,
Hmm.
how are wealthy people portrayed? Right? They're up, right, eating these dinners in their tuxedos, hating each other,
Hmm.
right? Right, while all the broke people are down below, dancing on tables, getting
Having fun.
loaded,
Yeah.
having
Uh-huh.
fun. In Spider-Man, the Green Goblin is a billionaire.
That's right.
So it's one of the reasons
Hmm.
why if you're born in the United States, it's almost impossible to become wealthy. A lot of the people that come from other countries don't have a lot of this head trash,
Hmm.
a lot of this garbage. I mean, money's the most second mentioned topic in the Bible,
That's
right?
right. Yes.
And so it's just all this stuff that you get and and it's easier to just go it's just easier to judge, right? I call judgment public enemy number one. It's just
Hmm.
easier to judge others to excuse your lack of financial resources.
Mhm.
It's just easier to do that than to do the actual work. So it's 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 these belief systems, it's what you repetitively tell yourself, and you have to make what is unconscious conscious, or it's never going to change. And so for me, it didn't matter what people thought of whatever president wasn't paying taxes. I mean, especially it's so stupid around election time. It's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, the rich need to give to the poor, and it's like they're wealthy because they're solving problems, right? And they're
Mhm.
getting wealthy because they're solving problems. And and this might be controversial on your show, but everyone's got the same opportunity.
Chris, you know what? I'm going to stop you here because that's my viewpoint too. And it's so interesting you would say that. And I'll let you continue. But my boyfriend and I, we were just talking about this the other week that in 2025, yes, we know of certain systems in place in our country specifically. But in 2025, there's no excuse unless you're putting the blocks in front of yourself. Because as I think I shared with you, at the turn of the 20th century, my mom's grandparents and great grandparents, Black people, were wealthy at the turn of the 20th century in the early 1900s. And it was because of the work they put forth. So it's not controversial to me. It is to a lot of people, but
Sure.
it goes back to that mindset.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and people are like, well, you're white male, you're this, you're that. It's like, no, I mean, I was lower middle class, and I got
Mhm.
not the worst programming, but very negative programming
Yeah.
around money, right? And so, did I have advantages? Yeah, of course. A lot of people have helped me, and I
Hmm.
private advantages everyone else did, but the work ethic and all this. But as it relates to money, right? Whether you're black, white, purple, plaid, it doesn't really matter, right? It's just for me at 37, it was
Hmm.
like it doesn't matter what mom and dad said. It doesn't matter what society's saying. I'm $250,000 in credit card debt. I'm entering the Great Recession. My kids are little. They're in Atlanta. I'm in Denver. Marlo, just my second wife, just got done throwing her
Hmm.
purse at me. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why, how can you, you're a CPA and financial advisor. How can you be broke? My back was against the wall, and it was like, huh,
Mm.
there's a common theme to the shit show that's my life, and it was me.
Mhm. Mm.
And so I had to quit playing frickin' victim. People hate that word, but it's just victim is allowing the outside world to dictate your thinking, to dictate your results. All I was playing victim. I was blaming my ex-wife. I was blaming the economy. I was blaming my team. I was blaming everybody.
Mhm.
And my coach, who I hired for 4.5 years, finally said, dude, who pays the price for you being a dumbass?
Yeah.
Like, who pays the price? And so that was the shifter, sister, was because when he said, who pays the price for you insisting on holding on to your crap? And it was my kids, it was my wife, it was my drinking problem, it was
Mm.
all of it.
Mhm.
So until we actually connect the price that others are paying, because you do get sick of it, but here's the most dangerous part, sister. You get comfortable being dysfunctional.
Ooh.
You get
Wow.
comfort sitting in your lawn chair on your big pile of shit.
Yep.
And that's the problem. Is you can get comfortable with the lack of results, with the lack of money, of resources, of you can get comfortable with that. And I
Mhm.
was actually getting comfortable with the struggle. Right. I was living in hopium, which is where everybody lives, right? Which is hoping this is going to change.
Oh.
Oh, if we only get the right president.
Mm.
Stupid. Right?
Mhm.
If we only get the right Congress, if we only get the right this, if we only get the right tax break, if we only get the right this, if I get the right job, I get right. And outside in doesn't work. I call that rearranging the furniture on the deck
Mhm.
of the Titanic. It doesn't
Mhm.
freaking matter. The damn boats going down. And that's what I was doing. And then finally in that moment where Marlo's like, figure it out or I'm out, dude. I'm
That's
like,
right.
I'm like, huh, the common theme to the crap that was my life was me.
That
So
is so true.
yeah.
Wow.
So in that
Wow.
moment, I took 100% responsibility for the crap show that was my life. It was no longer anybody's fault but mine. And from that platform, I could change.
Now, this is a question that I'm curious about. When you were in that broke time of your life, especially knowing too, you were
I was working.
working every day. Where was you did mention a drinking problem, but even outside of that, where was your money going, or was it the mismanagement of money?
Um, I mean, my divorce was massively
That's right.
expensive, right?
Yeah.
Right? But I kept making stupid financial decisions. Like I signed a 6,000 square foot office lease. I had no business touching,
Mm,
right? And
hmm.
so somebody with limiting beliefs around money, right? And one of the biggest mind viruses, sister, that people have, and you and I could do a whole show on this, is I'll just make more. A lot of dudes have this. Oh, it doesn't matter that I just signed a stupid office lease
Mm,
because I did have confidence, right? I was confident in that I could succeed. And I was confident that I had work ethic. It's not like I was sitting around pouting. I wasn't.
mhm.
But I was running a marathon with a 20-pound bowling ball around my ankle. And that was my limiting beliefs around money. And so it was literally like, oh, it doesn't matter that I just, I mean, literally, I'm blowing 10 grand a month out of my nose. I'll just go make more. So if I have the belief that I'll just go make more money, I don't need to take care of what I have. And so it was that, but it was also dying the death of a thousand cuts financially. That's how most people go down, is they
Hmm.
die the death of a thousand cuts. And so they're eating out all the time. They're buying the tab. They're doing this. They're doing happy hours. They're like, oh, it was a business expense. It's a write off. So you're spending $1 to save 30 cents. Okay, that doesn't work.
That's right.
Um, and so when I started understanding that I needed to change my mind, I read Secrets of a Millionaire Mind,
Hmm.
unbelievable book,
Hmm.
all about subconscious programming around money. And I'd read this paragraph dozens of times, but finally I was open. And he said, until you start managing the money that you have now, well, you will not see anymore.
That's right.
So that's where it had to start. It was,
Hmm.
and my wife, when our first book was called Couples Money, where it was her idea that she was going to keep me and we were going to stay together. And I committed to her. I'm like, I'm no longer interested in changing. I'm committed to changing my life. Big
And I
difference.
was just about to ask you that, is that breaking point moment at 37 when your wife especially said, how in the world are you broke? What was that wake up call moment? And the next day, how did your life begin to change? What did you choose to intentionally do, Chris?
Well, what happened was I was out of money
Mm,
and I had to pay my ex-wife the next day $5,200, beginning of every month, $5,200 in alimony and child support. So the turning point was I had to come home and I had to ask Marlo
mm,
because she had money separate from our marriage because she knew not to commingle money with a broke dude. I had to
mm.
ask her for her money to pay my ex-wife. That
Oh,
did
mm,
not go over well.
hmm.
And so we call it the purse throwing incident because she threw her purse at me when I made the request, not once, not twice, but three times. Then it was the fight. Then it was like, I'm like, well, why are we still married? Why are you still here? She went upstairs to figure that out for the rest of the night. I had my awakening of like,
Mm,
I'm the common denominator to everything. And then we came together and none of it happens without her. And really it was at her kind of her breaking point. she chose to focus on what she loved about me,
Mm.
which only the hand of God could have made that happen, right? Because that, man, I coach a lot of couples, and I'm like,
Especially
what's,
from a woman.
yeah,
Really,
yeah,
yeah. I'm saying
yeah,
that as a woman. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
and
special.
and most right, and the preeminent law in personal growth and development is the law of growth, which is what you focus on expands. End of story.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we teach as coaches is to get you to focus on the right stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so when couples aren't, it's not jibing between them. Where are they focused? They're they're doing this versus this, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
focused on the negative stuff, but she said she focused on the good stuff in me,
Mm-hmm.
which caused me to stop looking at the bad in her, which was my self-sabotaging pattern, right? Because I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'll just go over here because there's got to be some, relationship out there that's just all sunshine, lollipops, and roses and requires no work. So I started focusing on the good in her. She started focusing on the good in me. And then she said, I'm keeping you. We're not getting divorced, not declaring bankruptcy. We're not getting jobs. We're going to figure it out. So she went out and interviewed some wealthy mentors. We did have that going for us. We had
Mm-hmm.
access to wealthy couples. She did that for 2.5 years, and
Wow.
she'd come back and she'd be like, "Hey, they do this, they do that." And then her whole thing was, "What are you doing, jackass?" And I'm like, "I am all freaking in. So I am going to put in the time. I'm going to develop a morning routine around pulling
Mm-hmm.
out every belief that I have around money. I'm going to visualize, meditate. I mean, you told me to stand on my head for an hour. It was going to change my life. I was going to do it. I'm like, I am committed. I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm
That's
still
right.
psycho about it this day. And I am going to put in the work. And eventually, right, didn't happen overnight, but it happened over time. And these beliefs started changing, all the stuff I talk about in my book. And we had a jaw-dropping transformation on
Mm.
all levels. But then I'll shut up about it. I get excited about this. Right when I made that decision, I found a quote from Billy Graham, and he said, once you get your attitude straight around money, it helps straighten out every area of your life.
Ooh.
Once you get your attitude straight around money, it helps straighten out every area of your life.
And how did that show up exactly in your life, Chris?
I mean, we could talk about, I mean, one of the big topics in my book is forgiveness, right?
That's
Forgiving my
right. Mm-hmm.
ex-wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
This concept of deserving or not deserving. It's a man-made mind virus. It's total crap. It's
Mm-hmm.
I mean, facing that, my spirituality changed. Like, I mean, all this is the 20-pound bowling ball, right? It was the judgments, the resentments, all this crap, all this stuff that we carry. It wasn't, I mean, it was about the money
Mm-hmm.
as far as like cleaning up beliefs, but like I had so many energetic leaks of focus, of resentment and hatred and anger and all these things. And so my coach said, if you don't forgive your ex-wife, your money will never come in, bro.
Yeah, because it'll be a blockage there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get
Won't
it
be able
because
to flow.
I'm a CPM, a financial advisor. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
looking for the strategery. I'm looking for the
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for the magic spreadsheet.
Uh-huh.
But it was all these other things that actually the Bible points to,
That's right.
right? That I had to
Mm.
clean up. But he was spot on. I mean, it was and I had more energy at 54 than I ever did at 37.
And what is so amazing about it and so astonishing, I tell people all of the time, nowadays in 2025, certain words like mindset, energy, um, other things are buzzwords now, but people like you and others, and even me, when I first started coaching, have been doing this work for many, many years, even prior to it being trendy. And so when you started going through your entire transformation, Chris, what effect did you even see it happening amongst your children? I know that they were smaller then, but as time has gone on and they've seen you as the man you are, how have you, as the head of your home and of your family, even with the kids being grown, how has that affected them?
Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons I wrote the book because I'm like, if nobody buys the book, I want them to read it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I want my grandkids to read it. I want my great grandkids to read it, because I mean, at some point in your line of family, hopefully uh, somebody says enough's enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? And chooses to change the trajectory of that family, right? And I like to think I was that, right? And so they have a great money, they have great money beliefs, right? But they're not greedy, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
giving. There's not a entitlement bone in their body. They bust their ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're super coachable. They're caring. I mean, they're still with their high school girlfriends. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just, they're great boyfriends. They're just they're world-class kids. I mean, they really are. I mean, I know I'm super biased, but watching me be a dumbass and kind of dig myself out, and then ensuring that they don't step on the same landmines that our family had been stepping on for hundreds of years. um it's powerful. And
Mm-hmm.
so they don't have that 20-pound bowling ball weighing them down, right? It's not,
Wow.
I mean, they're not perfect. It's not like they don't have limiting beliefs or things they got to work
Mm-hmm.
on, but I mean, they are way better than me. It's not even
Mm-hmm.
close. They're just great, great, great kids. Yeah, I hit the dad jackpot with those two. So,
That's beautiful. In what ways, Chris, in this journey over these many years from 37 to now 54, how have your relationships, whether personal relationships or even entrepreneurial, how have they evolved to the point of matching that level of where you are now? And what I mean by that is that as we grow and expand, sometimes in some cases, everybody can't always follow along that path with us. But sometimes I find that personally, as a woman, that at times happens more sometimes for women as opposed to men, although we've all experienced it. What I mean is that men I've met have often had a core group of friends who are there. It's not typically drama and all of that. But how have those relationships evolved to match this energy level of where you are now as opposed to the past when you had that broke mindset?
I mean, a lot of, I mean, there's core relationships that, we'll reconnect once in a blue moon, and we'll just kind of pick
Mm-hmm.
up where we left off. Like it's not hard, right? It's not like
Mm-hmm.
we're talking on the phone every day. But as you elevate, right? And hopefully, some people think this stuff's weird, but to have wealth, and when we say wealth, it's not just money, right? That
That's
that that was
right.
that was the point of my whole Billy Graham quote, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's wealth and abundance, hopefully in all areas of your life. And like I said, not that there's things that aren't wrong and problems,
Mm-hmm.
and you always have those. Um, but as you vibrate
Mm-hmm.
higher, the lower vibration relationships fall away,
Yes. Yes.
right? They don't. There's no connection there. So, as I've grown, I've been intentional about growing, and other people did not want to grow. You know, they fell away.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, nature abhors a vacuum, right? And so when that stuff goes away, then you're attracting, you know, I don't want to say better, but higher vibration people of the same mindset. And the lower vibration is more about what's in it for me.
Yeah.
And not that I can't go there, right? Because one of my favorite quotes is "We're a miracle and a mess at the same time," right? So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely still have my messy parts, but I'm super aware of like oh, you're making it about you. And I'm able to more shift into contribution and growth, because the only way you'll find true fulfillment in life is by growing you and contributing to others. It's not in
Yes.
stuff, it's actually not in the money. Money will never make you happy, but it's like oxygen, you need it. Um, but you start attracting, and literally in the last 90 days, I've had some crazy attraction things enter my life that I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. You start getting in different rooms.
Mhm.
You start getting
Mhm.
around different people that, are way ahead of you.
Mhm.
But when we do get together and we talk, it is about contribution. It is about making an
Mhm.
impact. So I don't know if I answered your question or not there,
Yes, you
but
definitely did. Yes, you answered it, and I think it's important because there are certain growth spaces. It doesn't mean that you drop everybody from your
no.
past or your life, but it does mean that you must be more intentional. If you're growing and elevating, you want people to do the same. And that's with anyone, is that as we grow, it should be, I think, in my opinion, and should is a word I don't use a lot, but I think in this one is so important, is that if we want to grow individually, then who we are around and who we are letting pour into us and we into them is very important. And so the fact that you wanted to pour into the masses, Chris, by just not working with your clients and people in your company, but you said, I want to write a book that can help people. Let's talk about this. What sparked the idea for you to write your book? And what is a key takeaway that you want readers to get from your book? Of course, also share the name of it too.
Yeah, the book is called Think and Grow You, and the subtitle is How to Get Out of Your Own Way and Level Up Your Life. And yeah, it was actually that author I talked about, Steve Siebold.
Hmm.
He's sold 4.5 million books. He's made $50 million speaking. I mean,
Hmm.
he's a guru. He reached out to me in like 2021. He's like, I've heard you speak. Time to write a book.
Mm.
And so he actually coached me for 9 months on how to write it.
Wow.
And he's like, we got to get what you teach. And and he said, because most people start writing content, right? He's like, I want you to spend the next month, the first month, writing your 50 best stories of transformation. And that's what I did. And then we developed the content around the stories. So there's 50 uh, you know 50 concepts, but they're page and a half, each concept, right?
Hmm.
And it's really written in like 300 to 400 words of teaching. And then I talk about resources, things I did to change my life, and then the story is what I did with what I'm teaching, because there's a lot of people that teach stuff and they never did it, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So my personal story has a pretty good flow to it, of like, I was a jackass. I woke up to being a jackass. I decided to make the change. I did these things and I got this result. So all the
Hmm.
stuff that we're talking about, right? I was an approval addict. I had deserving issues. I had forgiveness issues. I had money issues. I had all this stuff. My spirituality was lost. I mean, all these things that I wrestled with like every other human. The reason I wrote it is because when my back was against the wall and my thinking was dysfunctional and I was going into these patterns, books always shifted my thinking,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so I wanted this book to be a resource, and it's definitely a resource for the solopreneur, the entrepreneur. And, like chapter one, stop worrying. Well, I go through my whole process of what I did. Hey, so somebody can pick up the book, scan the table of contents, go, what did Chris do about worry? Oh shit, that's right. Here's
That's
this.
chapter one. Yeah.
Oh, that's what he did. Oh, here's his story. Oh my God, that was a mess. He was a mess. Okay,
Mhm.
he did this, and I got that. So yeah, so that's why I wrote it. It is to help people shift, and that's what I want, right?
Mhm.
Because the key. to our lives is really our thinking life. There's me plus a thought equals a result. And if we don't like the result, there's me in the result. I have to
Mhm.
change my thinking, right? And so you can change your thinking. That is the takeaway, is you can change your thinking. It's work to change your thinking, but the work is worth it. And that is an asset I had. I didn't have a lot going for me, but
Mhm.
I had the asset. I knew that it would not be a waste of time. That if
Mhm.
I would just do the work, and it's not would it work or would it not work, it was I will do the work until I get the result.
That's right.
Until was the word. So there's a lot in there that can help people.
And approximately, and I'm asking this for a reason. Approximately how long, Chris, did it take you from the age of 37 when you had this shift and this transformation? How long did it take you to not only get out of debt, but also get to at least that seven-figure earner status? Did it happen in a year, as a person might think? Did it take longer? How long of a process was that?
Um, I mean, we we started doing the work. I hired a coach. He really taught me
Mhm.
how to set goals. Um, the shifting started happening within 90 days once we got
Mhm.
clear. You know, I do a whole nother show on what
Mhm.
clarity. Most people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So when my wife and I got on the same page and we got clear about what we wanted to do financially, like the shifting started happening, right? Like we met as a couple once a week. We set a unifying goal as a couple. Like we started pushing the snowball down the mountain, right?
Mhm.
And what people need to understand is the dopamine hits in your brain, the good feeling you want in your brain happens when you're on the path, not when you hit the goal,
That's right. Yeah.
right? So the shifting started happening in 90 days, right? But, we hit seven figures. Um, that took a bit because we were probably at a couple hundred grand, but we hit that probably within, 7 or 8 years.
Uh-huh.
But we released the debt in a
Yeah.
couple years and, saved money and tithed and all those things.
Mhm.
So, um, but it was, was it overnight? Everybody wants overnight. They want instant gratification. They want it to happen.
Mhm.
No, but it happened pretty quick.
Yes.
And,
Mhm.
and the momentum's, continued, and now it's become, that stuff's become habitual. So
Mhm. And the reason I asked that, and I'm glad that you did share, is because I think sometimes I hear people or I'll read things, and sometimes people are in such desperation where they want things to happen quickly for them, but they see, there's a quote that says, "You see my glory without knowing my story." So they'll see you for who you are today, but not know the cost it took, the sacrifice, the discipline it took, and the work it still takes to remain in this mind space, to put forth the effort and the results. You may not necessarily have to work as hard as you did in the earlier days of that grind and that hustle, but still to maintain wealth even beyond the finances, it still takes work. And so, what would you say, Chris, to a person whose back is against the wall? They may be in a career transition. Say they had a 9 to 5, they're in transition trying to find something else. They have these goals of getting out of horrendous debt they're in. What would you say is a first step for them, especially if they have a lot of that mind trash and mind garbage?
yeah, I think it's a couple steps. One is, it's really it's the clarity thing. Like and that's one of the most beat up topics in personal growth and development. Like everyone's like, you got to know your why, you got to know what you want, you got to, right, all these things. But what happens is, we get we get trapped by, our cell phones, our weapons of mass distraction, and we never like take the time to sit our butts down and go, what do we really want?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so number one thing, if you want to change your life, you schedule it,
That's
right?
right.
So schedule, right? Grab a journal. Don't do it on a
Mm-hmm.
phone. Don't do it on a computer.
That's right.
Things are different when you write. It takes way more
Mm-hmm. That's right.
internal. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
journals. Oh, my
Uh-huh.
wife's like, how many freaking journals do you have? They're
A
everywhere,
lot.
right? And what flows through you sticks to you, right? And
Yeah.
so, but go to a nice location, right? Like sit your butt down,
Mm-hmm.
disconnect from your phone, and just go, what do I really, 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 really want? And you got to dream. You got to get that freaking dream machine going again, right? Because people, I mean, one of my mentors, self-made billionaire, unbelievable guy, he's like, dude, you're like dream dead,
Mm.
dream dead, right? I mean, because and it, in my book, I'm like, I mean, we had dreams at one point. Where do dreams go?
That's right. Into a
They
dream
just,
graveyard,
they
it
just,
seems.
yeah, they just atrophy over time. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't care if you're 54, 24, 94, like you got to start freaking dreaming again,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people think that's hokey, but the world-class dream. Everyone else struggles. So I think that's important. I think you got to get really clear on what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to ask yourself, is what I'm doing going to get me what I want? And then you have two choices: shrink and settle, which one of my chapters in my book is don't settle. Or as my mentor says, settling is the most offensive word in the English language,
Mm-hmm.
right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
settle. Don't settle. Find the vehicle that's going to get you to do that. And then as it relates to money, the first exercise that my coach had me do is your next journal exercise. Do it at some other time, but schedule it. Write the word money down and write down everything you make up about that word,
That's right. I
right?
like that. Mm-hmm.
And sales, same thing. I do a sales advisor. I'm an advisor. We sell. Write the word sell down. What's the word that comes up around selling? It's usually negative. Around money, usually negative. And so when I did that exercise and I listed all the stuff that we've talked about, I mean, I had like 20 limiting beliefs around money.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, I finally met the enemy. It is I. And and then I rewrote the story of what I wanted. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
making and saving big money is easy, right? Because people that struggle with money, sister, they usually have some hard thing going on. Hard to make, hard to keep. You're just saying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy. It's a scorecard of value. Money makes good people better. Bad people, I'm a good person. It's going to make me better. Um, anyway, so I rewrote a story and read that story every morning, did all the work, all the stuff in my book. But you really have to understand what is your relationship with the word money because it is a freaking relationship. And if
Mm-hmm.
it's like money's not important, won't make you happy, if you don't appreciate money, money's going to go someplace where it's
It
appreciated.
sure will. That's right.
Yeah, it's just like a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. If you don't appreciate your relationships,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to leave you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So those two things I think are paramount.
And as we come to a close, I know that you told us the name of your book, but where can a person actually buy your book, learn more about you? Say someone's listening and they'd love to book you for their top speaking event or just to learn more in terms of resources, consultation, whatever. How can people connect with you, Chris?
Yeah, website's chrisfelton.me. That's the best place. And then I mean
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. I post a few times a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so yeah, those are the places they can find me.
And as a final thought, Chris, in thinking about who you are now and who you once were, what is the biggest thing about yourself over these years that has surprised you in a good way the most?
Um, just peace of mind.
Mm,
I think everything we do in life, we're hoping to have peace.
Mm,
Well, everything we do in life, we're hoping to get a feeling, and the feeling that we most want is peace. So, like I said, not that stuff doesn't happen. I don't have adversity
yeah.
and challenges, and I get triggered and I get selfish. That stuff still happens, but my capacity to shift that really
Wow.
quick has become um, a lot better than it was. Right, stuff used to take me down for weeks, and now maybe a day at most. But that's why I got psycho obsessed about everything I talk about in my book. Is I wanted a peaceful life, and a peaceful life does not happen without a peaceful mind.
Mm. Without a peaceful mind, and in your case, without having a good woman, a godly
Oh yeah,
woman
godly
who
woman.
stuck by your side and
Yep.
said, listen, I love you enough. I'm not happy right now with the choices, but I see so much and this is going to work. And so I commend your wife also, and blessings to her and you. And Chris, thank you for just having a heart of gold and for being you, and continue educating the masses with what you do, because everybody can get that financial freedom that they are desiring. And I thank you, Chris, for being a guest on the Power Transformation Podcast. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Appreciate you, sister. You're world class.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Power Transformation Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and write a review. It helps us inspire even more listeners. And don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who could use a little power in their transformation. Until next time, keep bouncing back, keep rising, and be good to yourself and to others.